Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Eike, and in this video I'm going to show you how I painted this landscape. I also want to give you some tips and tricks how to improve on your own painting skills. When I start a new painting, I always start with a background color and then take a big brush and just sketch out the main shapes and main features of the painting that really define it. The background color is very important for me because it helps me to get my color values and contrasts right from the start. This is important so when you get to a later point in your painting where you worry about detailing, you don't have to worry about your color values anymore and or the main values of your colors, and this is important. So you just can focus on details and getting them right and don't have to worry about the special colors anymore. Yeah, then I also make sure to have a color scheme, and my color scheme in this painting was actually inspired by a synthwave album cover. It was violet or it had these dark violets and very vibrant orange tones in there, and I really like that. So yeah, I took some inspiration out of that, and then I just took a third color, a lightish blue, um, for the sky, which really helped me to put the other two colors together and combine them in a more believable way. Um, Yeah, and then what's very important for me is reference pictures. Um, they help me in in a lot of different ways. At first, mm, they help me to get the structures and silhouettes and forms of the thing I'm trying to paint right, and then I then they help me to get the forms I'm trying to paint um, right, and the details getting more clearer and more believable, because it's very hard for the most people, me included, to imagine the real forms. And of course I can paint a mountain out of my head, but it will look more realistic when I had a reference photo. And it doesn't matter what I paint. Actually, I use reference photos or references for everything I do. Um, I often sit in front of when it's in the evening and I don't want to work anymore. I actually just watch a film and then I see an interesting face or an interesting structure, and I just hit the pause button because, of course, just when I'm watching alone, I don't want to disturb anyone who's watching with me. But yeah, sometimes I'm just hitting the pause button and then start to draw the thing that I'm seeing and that is interesting for me. And even when I'm watching with other people, at sometimes I just take out my drawing book and my sketchbook and start to sketch just some small sketches. So yeah, this is actually a fun practice, to just watch some documentaries and not even hitting the pause button, but just trying to get when you, for example, see an ape in a documentary and you just see this ape around 10 seconds long. It's a very good practice to try to catch as much detail, or not detail, as much information as possible. Like, don't try to detail a face in 10 seconds. That is possible, but it doesn't really matter. Try to catch the overall form of and the shape of the thing you're trying to sketch in around 10 seconds, and then make it a little bit longer. Then always try to go one step further. When you manage to get the overall shapes done in 10 seconds, give you some more time, and you will see that you improve alone by giving you some more time. and not trying to focus on details too much, but more on the shapes of the actual thing you want to paint. Yeah, and then with this cloud, for example, I had a little bit of struggle, and it actually was very easy to solve the problem because the colors were just too similar to the stone in front of it. So yeah, I gave the cloud a little bit more bluish tone, and made the yellow a little bit brighter. Yeah, you see this right now. So it doesn't get this violet hue; it gets a more bluish color, and so it's getting a little bit color contrast to the stone in front of it. And I also try to sharpen the edges of the stone in front of it, and give it a little bit contrast in a little bit more contrast to the clouds. Yeah, and what you see me doing now, and this is also a very important part of understanding light. Light doesn't just come from one spot. It's always reflecting of different parts. That's why when you have, for example, when you paint a mountain, the mountain will, in its shadow, on its shadow side, will have a bluish tint, because actually it still gets some light from the sky, and because the sky is blue, and the mountain will also get a little bit bluish, a little bit bluish color. And yeah, I try to have this middle tone, which is also still dark in proportions to the light source, but is still lighter than the darkest shadows. Um, I also try to give the um, give the objects I'm drawing at least 3 to 4 different contrasts, like a very light spot, a semi-light spot, a semi-shadow spot, and then a dark shadow spot. This helps to give the form you're drawing a little bit more three-dimensional understanding, and it even helps to different, not just make a darker tone, but even to make it a complete different color. For example, like I did it here with an orange, blue, and a violet hue. Yeah, then what's also very important is when you draw or when you paint, don't focus on just one spot. Don't try to give the main object in your painting all the detail and just have some color spots dotted around. Always try to work on different parts on your paintings and have your attention to the overall painting. When you paint, at some point, zoom out a little bit and have a look at the overall painting, how it is working out. So you don't just focus on one part and lose your head, and then at the end you see the painting and are wondering what the rest of the painting is doing. So yeah, always try to remember to focus on other stuff as well. And yeah, then what you saw me doing is don't be afraid of changing parts of your painting if you feel they are not right. The easy thing about digital painting, and this is very cool, is you always can re or undo parts. For example, you saw me, the foot of the mountain was way too light for my for my taste. It looked kind of strange, and yeah, that's why I made it way darker and put on these bluish colored spots, um, which now give it a more three-dimensional form and actually give more focus or give the viewer more attention to the top portion of the mountain, which is more interesting um, than the foot, and which always should be yeah, a focus spot. Yeah, and this is and this is what I told you about. Don't be don't be afraid to change things in your painting when you get the feeling they are not at you. They are not like they supposed to be. Like you can see, I just realized that the light shouldn't, or the light yellowish or orange spots shouldn't be on top of the mountain because the light is coming from down below. So I gave it a bluish color, and this helped me to define the form of the mountain a little bit more, and yeah, have it an overall nicer look and aesthetic. And I also combined the forms. I really disliked the shattered look of all the portions of the mountain. So I tried to give it a more combined look and not as shattered as it was before. Um, Yeah, so I'm just now doing some detail work, always looking at my reference painting picture, of course, and trying to, like, I don't copy one to one what I see. I'm just trying to get a sense for structures in rocks and mountains overall, so I can imagine how the light would hit different on different parts of my rock. And yeah, now we come to a different point, which is also very important. Always give the viewer of your painting a sense of scale. Um, and the easiest way to do this is always a human being in the painting. When you paint a landscape, put in something the viewer could know, like an animal or a human person is like the best way, because everyone knows that a person is around 1.6 to 1.8 meters high on average, and yeah, so they can relate and they can imagine um, that how big these mountains actually are. And yeah, what I'm trying now is to give the water in the puddles a little bit more brighter bluish tone to make it look like the sky is reflecting off from them. And this is also helping with the contrast in the painting. It makes the ground a little bit more interesting, um, but be sure to not overdo it. Don't make it too bright, um, because this would take off a lot of attention from the main structure of the painting. So just make it a little bit brighter so it looks interesting and the viewer has something to look at, not just the main structure, but make sure that the main structure of your painting is always the most interesting. And yeah, so like I said, the thing that bugged me out about this person, I wasn't getting the color values right, and it melted into the background or into the foreground, and I was at this point I was deciding if I wanted to redo it completely new, and I just tried to give it some other colors, which you can see didn't work out at all. And yeah, then I just gave it a way more darker color, and you will see this on the finished painting. I actually gave it a complete overhaul and worked out the shadows a little bit more. Um, and yes, also I can and now I'm just putting in the detail work on the tip of the mountain, and this is also important to give the interesting parts of your painting, where the viewer should look at a lot of contrast. It will make contrast always makes things interesting. Whether it is color contrast or light and dark contrast, in the best part you give your painting both of it, like, or your point of interest, both of it. If there's a lot of color contrast and dark and light contrast going on, it's interesting right from the start. So this is the finished painting, and as you can see, I worked out the figurine a little bit more. I gave it a darker contrast in proportions to anything else, so it stands out a little bit more, but not too much. Yeah. I hope I could help you, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask down in the comments. If you liked what you saw, give it a like and maybe consider even subscribing, because if you do so, you won't miss out on the content that's to come. Thank you for watching and have a great day.